Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're breaking down the number one topic I get asked about as a Pilates instructor, and that is the concept of toning your physique. We're gonna talk about whether or not Pilates is good for toning, if it will help you tone your arms and your abs, how often you should be doing it in order to tone. We're breaking it all down in this video. The number one thing you need to understand before we even talk about the relationship between toning and Pilates is what exactly is toning. When people use that term, what does it really mean? The fitness industry created this term toning to convince women that they should be doing a different type of exercise, that women had different requirements that were separate from gaining muscle through things like weightlifting or other types of exercise. So the fitness industry at some point made this term, and the Pilates industry really adopted it, really took it on as their whole identity. That's why you see a lot of these studios saying like, we're a toning workout, we're not gonna make you bulky, all those things. But here's the truth, and I'm always gonna keep it 100 with you guys. Toning is not a thing that your muscles can do. It's not a real thing. It is not a real physiological response that your body has. Your muscles are pretty simple. They can only shrink and they can grow. That's it. Now, it is a spectrum, so you can grow a lot of muscle if you want to be like the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, or you can grow a little bit of muscle, but your muscles grow on a spectrum. There isn't a unique muscle development called toning, despite what the Pilates industry and the fitness industry wants to convince you there is. So anytime you see a studio describe itself as like a toning workout, big red flag, because it's not a real thing, and that shows that they don't really understand anatomy. So at some point, toning became this verb that everybody's like, oh, it's a toning workout. Oh, this tones me like in that way, when that's not what toning is at all, like we just talked about. Now, where I am okay with the use of the term tone is a lot of times people will use tone as an adjective to describe their aspirational physique. So they'll say, I want a more toned physique. I want more muscle definition. I want to look a little bit tighter. Now that makes sense. Like the idea of toning there as an adjective isn't a harmful term by any means. So I'm okay with people using it as an adjective and saying that's a physique that they aspire to have. But what I need everyone watching this video, if there's one thing you take away from this video, know that the idea of toning your muscles is not a real thing. And I'll tell you what exactly is happening when people are like, well, how do I achieve a toned physique if I'm not toning my muscles? We'll get there in a second. So usually when people are saying they want this tighter, more toned physique, they are describing a reduction in fat loss and a little bit of muscle growth. So you see more muscular definition. That is a relationship of your body recomposition that is happening in order to achieve a toned physique. And that's usually what people are aspiring to have, but they maybe don't have the words to like explain exactly like fat loss and then muscle growth. But that is what will help you achieve a toned physique. So like that is the concept of toning at its core. Now let's talk about the exercises that can help you accomplish fat loss reduction and muscle growth, because I hate to break hearts with this one, but Pilates is not optimized for that. Nor is Legree, nor is solid core, nor is bar, or anything that is honestly not weightlifting or cardio, because those are the two practices that are really good at helping you with fat loss reduction and help you gain muscular definition. Now, I'm not saying it is impossible for you to get a more toned physique through something like Pilates or bar or Legree or solid core, whatever it may be. I'm not saying that's impossible. That has been the reality for many women. But usually, 9 times out of 10, the women that this is happening for, they were already at a low body fat percentage. So they are able to see way more muscular definition quicker and easier because they already had a head start, if that makes sense. So I hate that this has become a blanket concept where everybody's like, oh, you need to do solid core, you need to do Pilates, you need to do this, you need to do that in order to tone, because for everyone, that will not be the reality of their outcomes. The reality of their outcomes will be, it depends on where you start when it comes to fat loss. Because in order for you to see that muscular definition, you need fat loss. And none of those workouts that I just listed are good at helping you with fat loss. Nutrition will play the biggest factor in fat loss, and then cardio will also assist in that significantly. But most of these modalities that are praised as toning workouts are not going to give that outcome for a lot of people. So I always like to give that very transparent answer when it comes to toning. If you're somebody who's looking to do a complete body recomp, you want to make changes in your body, you need something that is going to help you with fat loss reduction and something that is going to help you with muscular gains. Now, I am a big advocate for strength training because it is the most effective and efficient way for you to gain muscle in a short period of time. So yes, you can gain some muscle doing these other exercises, but you are way better off spending that time with something like weightlifting, which will help you gain some muscle quicker than you are doing something like, say, a bar class, a Legree class, or a Pilates class. So that is the truth when it comes to this idea of toning, body recomposition. In short, Pilates is not great for it. It is possible for some people, but the people that it's possible for likely already were starting with very low body fat percentages, and that's why they're seeing the results that they were. If you're someone who is not at that starting point but wants to get to that starting point, you need to add some other things in the mix that will help, and that is things like nutrition, cardio, and weightlifting, because weightlifting is such a great way to see that muscular definition quicker, because weightlifting is so good at helping you gain strength and gain muscle. So a question you may have now is, okay, Mojo, these workouts aren't great for helping me build muscle. What are they optimizing for? Great question. Workouts like bar, Legree, solid core, Pilates are all endurance-based exercises, meaning they usually are in the form of higher reps or spending time under tension, where they're getting you to feel those burns and those shakes, but they aren't necessarily helping you progress in how you are gaining strength. So all those workouts are endurance workouts. In fact, majority of workouts that are targeted to women that have this lens of toning you are just muscular endurance workouts. I'm not saying these aren't great workouts. Muscular endurance is amazing. I love Pilates. I love Pilates for a lot of reasons, but Pilates is great. Muscular endurance is great. It is a way to help you get stronger in the form of holding these moves for a certain amount of time or with a bigger range of motion. But in order to gain muscle, which all women should aspire to have because it is linked to how long we live and how strong our bones are in the long term. In order for you to gain muscle, you need to be able to progressively overload. And all of those workouts that I listed are not spaces that give you a wide enough range of resistance that you can effectively progressively overload. Even things like Legree, I hear this all the time and people are like, well, Legree, the springs get really heavy. The springs in Legree will never compare to the options you have to progressively overload your muscles through free weights, because it's just a different spectrum. You have, I don't know, how many is it? 8 springs? I forget, it's been a while since I've taken a Legree class. You have like 8 springs on a Legree Megaformer. You can only do but so much changes, and then at some point you will plateau where you can spend more time under tension in those moves to make them more challenging, but you are optimizing at that point for endurance and not for strength. So when it comes to strength, you really need a wide range of resistance options. You need some level of repetition, and you need to be able to really push your muscles to the point where the last few reps that you do are super challenging. Last thing I want to touch on before I give you some recommendations, because I will suggest some workout splits if you are someone who is looking to achieve a more toned physique. But last thing I want to touch on is the fact that the fitness industry for decades has fear-mongered women around lifting weights. It's convinced women that lifting any weights over 5 pounds is going to make you bulky and turn you into a man and make you a bodybuilder, and you're going to look boxy, and like all these negative things about women's bodies. And it truly pains me to my core. And that's a big focus of my channel and my platform on social media, is I really, really, really want to emphasize the importance of empowering women to gain muscle, because that is what is going to lead you to a healthier and happier life. And I am not telling you that you have to achieve muscular hypertrophy and you have to have huge biceps and huge quads and you have to want to be a bodybuilder. That is not what I'm telling you, although I do think bodybuilding women are amazing. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm simply telling you to try to gain a little bit of muscular strength. Try to gain a little bit of muscle. It doesn't have to be to the extreme, but having that little bit of muscle is, research shows, correlated to how long you live. And that is so, so, so important. Lifting weights over 5 pounds are not going to turn you into some monster, make you a man, make you a bodybuilder, like all these negative things that you hear. I promise you. I mean, I've progressively trained for a very, very long time. In fact, I need to get back into it because I've completely fallen off, but my frame has not changed much. I did get more muscular definition, but it hasn't significantly changed my frame and like my overall physique. So I really want people watching this video to understand that like there's nothing scary about lifting heavier to challenge your muscles in a way that's going to help you get stronger. It's so, so important to our health. Now let's get into the recommendations, because I know this is probably what you all waited for. My blanket recommendation, if you are someone who is looking to achieve a more toned physique, assuming you are starting at a baseline where you don't have significant fat loss goals, I would suggest do 3 days of strength training, 2 days of something like Pilates that's more low impact, that's more targeted, that helps different muscle fibers than strength training, and 1 day of cardio. That's a split that I've done for a very long time. That's a split that a lot of my clients have seen these tone results from. And as you notice from the split, it optimizes towards strength training. And that is something like lifting free weights in the gym. So I really recommend that split for most people. Now, if you're someone who you're like, yes, I want a more toned physique, but I probably do have a little bit more fat loss, or I'd like to drop a size or two, that's when I would recommend more cardio. So I would suggest probably maybe it's like 3 and 3, where it's 3 days strength training, 3 days cardio, or 3 and 2 with the cardio. You really have to play around what works for you, what's manageable, what you enjoy doing, and what will keep you consistent, because that obviously is going to help you achieve results the most. But that is everything that I think you should know around this concept of toning. It's a term that I honestly hate. If you can't tell from this video, it's okay to use to describe your physique, but just know it is not something different that you can do to your muscles. What you really need to be focusing on is trying to gain a little bit of muscle through the work that you're doing and figuring out the workouts that will help you do that.